Maisie, I thought scornfully. Who the hell names a dog Maisie? Trotted alongside of us. I do, she answered, and I flushed at the realization I'd said it out loud. I rescued her when Creed shot her owner for dogfighting. Sounds like Creed, I muttered, trying not to lean on her since she didn't look strong enough to lift my bag, much less support my 200-pound ass. So you do know your brothers, she replied, the faintest hint of scorn in her voice. I was starting to wonder. They're my brothers, I retorted sharply, swaying when she came to an abrupt stop. If I'm understanding the situation correctly, you haven't bothered to contact them in over 8 years. Then you send a letter saying you're coming home, but you don't bother to mention you're injured. She rattled off, staring up at me with a raised eyebrow. I don't know what you think the definition of brother is, but maybe you should take some time to look it up while you're home. She started moving again, and I was forced to go along, my legs starting to give out after the strain I'd put it through. And while I'd die before admitting it, she was the only thing keeping me upright. God, you're heavy, she huffed, coming to a door and shoving it open to reveal a set of bunk beds against one wall, a dresser on the other, and nothing else. The walls were a bright blue that made me wince, remembering when Crew had begged us to paint them for him. Crew's room? I questioned as we hobbled to the bottom bunk. Thankfully, it was a full bed. Yeah, Creed and I have the master, and Crew took the other bedroom when we moved in, she answered breathlessly, as I fell more than sat on the bed and she straightened. You're with Creed? There was no mistaking my incredulity, and she nodded, a faint smile on her lips. You're too young, I snapped, and she laughed at me. The sound of a baby crying drew her attention, and she headed for the door, leaving me half sprawled on the bunk bed as I shouted after her. You have a baby? I'm an uncle? I whispered to myself incredulously. My head dropped back on the bed when she disappeared without answering, and I groaned, wondering what the hell had happened in the years I'd been gone. I used my arms and good leg to situate myself on the bed more comfortably, finally laying back as pain throbbed through me. I knew I should take one of the pain pills the doctor had prescribed, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, hating the way they made me feel. The baby stopped crying as I lay there breathing heavily from the exertion of hauling myself across the bed, the weakness making my limbs shaky. A cold nose pressed against my arm, and then Maisie jumped up next to me, making tight circles before settling along my side. Oh, yeah, Creed doesn't let her sleep with us, so she made this her room, the not-so-fragile blonde mentioned, standing in the door with a little girl on her hip. Guess she's okay with sharing. Great, I muttered, staring at the underneath of the bed above me, the wooden slats covered in graffiti from a younger Crew. I get the dog bed. She laughed lightly, bouncing the toddler on her hip, and I rolled my head to see her more closely. What's her name? I asked, biting back a curse as my leg cramped painfully. I narrowed my eyes. And what's your name? You didn't actually refer to yourself as jailbait. She laughed harder, bright green eyes sparkling, and I could see why my responsible younger brother might have fallen on his dick for her. Creed nicknamed me jailbait, and unfortunately it stuck. This is Kara, she added, motioning to the kid on her hip. She'll be 2 in a couple of weeks. I had to draw a deep breath as my heart clenched, memories I'd run from starting to creep back more quickly than I'd bargained. She's cute, I offered, grimacing as I shifted my leg, trying to ease the agonizing pain. I'm sure Ronnie will appreciate hearing you think so, she mentioned, eyeing me. You need something? She nodded to my duffel.